What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. So, a all familiar scenario when men are talking to women, and I've been there myself, and that is it's all going so well, and then she ghosts you. So, we're going to look at why that happens and ultimately what you can do about it. So, I'm sure, and I've just alluded to the fact that I've been in that situation. I'm sure that many of you watching, if not all, have been talking to a girl at some point in your life and everything seems to be going well, everything's rosy, you're meeting up, you're feeling a vibe, she seems to be feeling your vibe, and then out of nowhere, she stops responding to your calls and texts, or maybe it's more of a gradual thing where she gradually phases you out. And so let's look at why that's happening. So, the first reason that that could be happening to you is because an ex came back in the scene. So, exes come with a level of familiarity and comfort. Maybe she and her ex split up and she entered the dating market and subsequently met you. Things are going great. Maybe you even reminded her of her ex to a degree, or maybe you were a distraction. A woman was quite harsh with me once upon a time. She said to me that it was a rebound relationship for her, and she said something along the lines of, I wanted to get with you so that I could know that she said she said, excuse me, early in the morning, she said, I got with you so I knew I could still get with someone because she'd been in a long-term relationship. So essentially, by getting with me, she knew that she still had value in the dating market. That was a very harsh thing that she said to me, but that's what she said. And maybe a lot of women, they won't outright come out and tell you that, but maybe maybe she came out of a 10-year relationship, 15-year relationship, whatever, and she hasn't been in the dating market for a while. So by dating you, she knows that she still has value, but an ex comes back on the scene, and that comes with a level of familiarity, or maybe they patch things up, and instead of outright telling you, it wasn't meant to last, she rather just stop talking to you and hope that you get the message and go away. But things in that situation don't need to go wrong in terms of you and her. You and her could be going great, but her ex, she was still essentially in love with him, and he came back on the scene, and that's all she wrote. So she ghosts you and hopes you get the hint. Another reason why women will ghost you even when things are going well is because you thought it was going well. You see, life is about perception. Much of life is about perception. So you thought things were going well, you were enjoying everything, but sometimes we get, we get tunnel vision because we think it's going well. We ignore what's going on around us because of that tunnel vision. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying going to the movies with her. I'm enjoying sleeping with her. I'm enjoying our time together. But sometimes as humans, we can get tunnel visions. I've done it in the past, and you're not actually looking around you. Is she enjoying it? Are you training yourself in human psychology to the extent that you can actually see outside of your own perception to a degree? We're all subjective, but we have to try and be as objective as possible. Are you viewing things from her side? Is her body language around you positive body language, or is it neutral, negative body language? Are you looking, if you're not even looking for these things, then there's a chance that you were enjoying it, but she wasn't actually enjoying it as much as you thought. And maybe women are psychologically very clever. And the thing is, collectively speaking, men are stronger than women physically. So I know there are women out there who could, kick my ass. Some of these MMA fighters, some of these MMA women fighters, I ain't just trying to pick a fight with them. But collectively speaking, men are physically stronger than women in terms of majorities. So in terms of women's biological makeup over thousands of years, they've always understood that instead of outright telling a man bluntly, I'm not feeling this, that instead of doing that, she would rather just phase it out or do it in a way that prevents her coming in harm's way. Because thousands of years ago, when unfortunately, violence was more commonplace, if a woman was to outright reject a man and tell him bluntly, you're essentially saying that I don't think that I want your genetic material, is essentially what you're saying when you reject someone. And so to say that to a man thousands of years ago, the consequences, as you can imagine, for women wasn't always good. So women have traditionally and biologically developed a coping mechanism. Rather than tell you outright, I'm not feeling this, they will do it the more subtle way, maybe gradually talking to you less and less, or maybe ignoring you because she's a distance away from you, you can't get to her. And so even though you're not going to do anything, you're not going to physically harm her, but it's just a biological thing. So you thought it was going well, you were enjoying it, but she wasn't feeling it as much as you. The other thing, another reason that it's going so well and then she ghosts you is because we live in the social media age. Look, the average woman has more options than the average guy. So maybe things were going well. Maybe she was really feeling the vibe, but then she just got messaged by a soccer player, a boxer, an athlete, an actor, a musician who has more sexual market value than you. And this was, she wants, maybe she wants to cash in on that. And she thinks, do you know what? This guy's really nice. He's really cool, but this guy's a millionaire. I'd rather take my chances with him. Ironically, this often doesn't work out for women because when they're chasing the millionaire, they tend to enter the one of many category instead of, often, not always, but a lot of the time, these millionaires and rich, famous people with high sexual market value are dating multiple women at the same time. So they enter that market, they enter that field, and instead of, and then they end up obviously with the short end of the stick. Whereas with you, it's guaranteed. It's almost like she knows she can have you. It's guaranteed. It's safe. She likes you. You haven't done anything wrong. But this guy's got more value than you in the sexual marketplace, and it's as simple as that. Many women would, not all, but many women would take their chances and try and compete for a billionaire than a guy who's somewhere in the middle. Most of us are in the middle. I'm somewhere in the middle, so I'm just keeping it real. If I was dating a girl and I don't know, Eminem messaged her on Instagram, I better be prepared for what could very possibly happen. So I'm included in that as well. I'd say I'm somewhere in the middle, so it's just facts. So yeah, I've spoken about we live in the social media age. Women now have access to higher value men that they never had before. In the 1950s, there was no messaging the famous people back then on Instagram. They didn't have access to these people, but famous people can message women in a second or vice versa. So, and not even just the social media. No, it doesn't have to be rich and famous. You could just meet someone. The thing is, we have so much choice these days. We're becoming more and more picky. So, everything's going well with you. She sees someone who's like you plus you times two in her opinion. So she just sees that, and then they start talking, and then she gradually phases you out. Another reason that she could ghost you when things are going well is that you were, when you're single, like the thing you have to understand is most people are dating multiple, and when you're single, I highly recommend it because it stops you becoming attached to any given situation. And then you become less needy, and then you, generally speaking, are more attractive as a prospect. She sees you as a prospect, you should see her as a prospect, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's what it is. It's a prospect. It's like a prospective potential relationship. So you're both dating multiple people, she's dating multiple people, you're dating multiple people, and you were number one, but then for whatever reason you've slipped down to number two or number three. Maybe you were going on a few dates, it was going well, but then she went on a date with another guy. Maybe he wasn't available when you were talking at first. She tried setting up dates with him, it wasn't working out. She went on a few with you, and then she goes on a date with the other guy, and she simply enjoyed it more. It could be that simple. Another reason is because you made a mistake as well. Many times people make mistakes with women. I've made mistakes with women, and I'm going to bet that I'll probably make mistakes with women in the future because we're not robots. We can learn as much theory as we like. You've had a long day at work, you're tired, your woman tests you, and your mind's not there, and you say something unattractive. It can happen. We're human. You make a mistake with a woman, and you lose attraction in her eyes, and then she gradually ghosts you. You know, maybe you say something, or maybe you say something that's not even your fault. You say something that reminds her of a bad experience with an ex, and you know, sometimes there are turn-offs that you can say. You don't know it at the time. She hides it, but it repulsed her, and then you go, you know, you both go home after that date, and you never hear from her again. But the last few dates were going well. The last thing I want to say with regards to this is another reason why a woman will ghost you when things are going well is simply because of life. You know, maybe something was going wrong in her life. Maybe something went wrong in her life. So, you know, maybe it could be a bereavement. Maybe it could be a family issue. Maybe it could be her work issues. Maybe it could be anything. You know, she could be having a lot of stress in life, and rather than just, you know, rather than just tell you that, she doesn't want to let you down, so she just gradually phases you out. But maybe it could have been nothing to do with anything that you've done. My ultimate conclusion to this video is you're not going to know. You're not going to know you're not going to, a lot of the time, you're not going to know the reason. Very seldom does a woman come out and tell you the exact reason why, you know, she ghosted you, or, well, ghosting is ghosting. She just ghosts you, but very, very rarely is a woman going to tell you why she stopped seeing you. The real reason, like the exact reason. A lot of the time you will not know the exact reason. The other thing is that, you know, a lot of the times you can ruminate and think about it, but you will not always know, and a lot of the times you won't know why she ghosted you when you thought things were going well. The ultimate way to get around that is just to live your life. Live your life. Don't worry about it. Don't ruminate about it. Just keep taking the steps to becoming an attractive man, not for women, but for yourself. You should do it for self-fulfillment, not for external validation from anyone. And so that would be my conclusion. You know, always take the steps to improve. Don't ruminate over something that you ultimately may have done something wrong, may not have done something wrong, and just live your life to the fullest. If you let me know, it's early in the morning, so I keep, you know, the flow isn't there as much as it usually is, but I gotta make these videos in the space and time slot that I can. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, there's a link for that in the description. With that, enjoy the rest of your day. See you on the next one.